stranger. Well, what kind of music did you listen to in the 1920s?
Well, the music that I listened to in the 1920s were probably blues and jazz.
What kind of music would you listen to in the 1920s?
What's the music? I don't know what you're talking about.
So, if you listen to like jazz and let's say blues, what kind of instruments would you play with these music?
I think you'd use the piano and the
Well, what kind of instruments did you play in that genre?
Nothing. I don't know. What's that? No.
So I've been asking everyone today basically the same question. What kind of music would you listen to in the 1920s?
Well,
I would listen to jazz and blues.
and that is my answer.
What's music? What's music?
Okay, so what do you know about 1920?
Not very much. I think jazz is popular music in the 1920s. It's like after the that might have been Prohibition era too. So a lot of like ragtime, that type of stuff. Boardwalk Empire probably has a lot of the soundtrack you're listening for jazz. And like I don't know why the name Big Bessie comes to mind, but I could be wrong. This might be before the time, but there's this guy named W.C. Hardy, H-R-D-Y. I think he's the man who like codified jazz, who wrote what jazz structure is. Other than that, I think like Prohibition era type music, so like the stuff Al Capone and them would have heard in those places. The speakeasies, I don't know. So I have like random phrases that come to mind. I don't know if they relate, but you could like look into something called speakeasies. I think that's where like they had the illegal drinking and singing of that jazz type of style. Also look at ragtime. That might be 1920s. My time might be off though.
All right.
So I hope that's somewhat of
That's very interesting indeed. All right. So there you go, folks.
that shows I need to learn more about my 1920s, but we all do. That's why we're here to live and learn.
All right. Thanks.
Peace.
So as I conclude, nobody really knows anything about 1920s music. I guess we'll see to find out what happens next.
Really? What is music?
In the 1920s, you would listen to different kinds of music and instruments as well, like the trumpet,
Baritone, the clarinet. Go on.
and the trombone maybe. Other than that, jazz and music was produced by those instruments. Oh, I forgot the banjo.
The jazz age had plenty of theaters and speakeasies which were always packed with fellows on flappers, eager to watch the latest jazz bands. These joints would really jump when stars such as Louis Armstrong or Bessie Smith were playing. People could also listen to jazz at home on the new commercial radio stations.
With the outlawing of alcohol, many people went to meetings called speakeasies in order to drink. Popular music at the time which they played there was jazz music and ragtime.
In 1919, there was a national organization called the Canadian Bureau for the Advancement of Music.
Yeah.
Which was a national group that encouraged and promoted the music of Canada. They have pushed piano lessons and got their wish in 1926.
Canadian music was forever changed by the invention of the radio. This enabled music to be heard all over without the use of actual gramophones. The radio was invented during the 1920s. It was still very primitive and usually reserved for live broadcast.
A lot of the music artists in the 1920s were born and raised in the southern USA as slaves and escaped during the Underground Railroad.
Popular Canadian artists at the time include Robert Nathaniel Dent, John W. Johnson, Law Hooper, Elton Brooks, Kenny Carey, James and Johnson Bowlby, William Eckstein, popular for the song Makes the World Go Round, Raymond Egan, popular for the song Sleepy Time Gal, and Carmen Longston, with a popular song Quartet.